Okay. I was raised to love. I was raised to fight back against oppression, and I was raised to move. I'm here today to say we have a long way to go. And I'm sure you've seen it on your timelines everywhere. Well, those cops in the George Floyd case were arrested. What's the big deal? That is a part of the big deal. What we just saw, that's part of the big deal. That people think that that's okay to do. In Auburn 2 years ago, Auburn, New Hampshire, I had a cop scream at me, bang his hand and his fist against the window, and I had done nothing wrong. I was simply asking him a clarifying question because I had never been pulled over before and I was rightly scared. Some reps and elected officials like Joseph Kelly Levasseur from Manchester think it's fine to refer to us as thugs. And do not say it can't happen here, it being whatever form of racism you think is the only racism that can ever happen anywhere. A child was lynched in Claremont not too long ago. Alice Walker said that the most common way people give up their power is by thinking that they don't have any. I'm going to say that again. The most common way people give up their power is by believing that they don't have any. That means you're not allowed to quit. And to the white allies sitting here, I know it's tiring. I recognize that. But I don't get to take my skin off, so that means you can't take a break from Facebook right now. We can't afford that. That's been happening too many times, and look where we are right now. So as I said, a white man in Concord yelled at me to go back to Africa. And I didn't say anything because I didn't want to start something or anything. I just let him yell at me from across the street. I had come out of the Toni Morrison documentary at Red River Theaters, and he was just, across the street, go back to Africa, right? And I said, so these are some responses that I thought of, after the fact. You always think of a good comeback afterwards, right? Where was that offer from my ancestors? Well, if more people that looked like you had raped more people that looked like me, you wouldn't be saying that because I'd be light enough to be exotic. Sure, as soon as I get my reparations check, I'll be on the next flight. Part of me is Cherokee, so actually you go back. And lastly, if you put the kids that are in cages someplace safe, I'll consider it. All of these are things that I could have said, but I didn't because I didn't want to start something. And now, almost a calendar year later, I'm in the middle of something. This is a movement, not a moment. And we're here because we are pushed on by all of those experiences like that, the negatives, but all of the positive ones like this, where we recognize that we are not alone. If you don't think New Hampshire is racist, which people being here, I don't think that you think that, but I need you to tell your friends and family to do this. If you don't think New Hampshire is racist, I want you to do one thing. Go into your town's Facebook group and simply write Black Lives Matter and walk away for 24 hours. Come back. Here's what you're going to see. You'll see a few positives here and there. You'll see a lot more negatives. And then I want you to look at all the membership of that group and look at all the people who said nothing. The silence is deafening. I've been accused of being a pot stirrer, as it were. Just honestly a really misogynistic thing if I think about it as well. Another story for another time. I'm fine with stirring the pot. That's fine. I'm tossing a little bit more equality in there. I'm totally fine with that. You all need to get comfortable with stirring the hypothetical pot, as it were, because that's the only way stuff gets done. Everyone's question is, what do we do? We're doing it. This right here is doing something. By being here right now, surrounded by people who you know have resources for you, there's 2 candidates running who are here, you have more resources and support at your disposal than Donald Trump has ever had. To do the right thing, you have more support and more resources than Donald Trump has ever had. More than he had when he was running, more than he had first day in office, and more than he has now as he campaigns to do this whole nonsense all over again. You have more. Use that. Remember it. I missed voting for the presidential election in 2016 because of my December birthday. I was about 3 weeks off, but I'm guessing a lot of people here did not have that excuse. If you really want to change, you vote. Very simple. Or better yet, you run for office yourself.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, if a crotch crotch-grabbing, birth certificate doubting, Central Park 5 hating, homophobic, transphobic, xenophobe can do that, so can you. Since apparently the pandemic can stop everything except for racism, I will still be out here, and I'm a person with high risk. I have asthma. It's not great. If I get coronavirus, I'm probably gonna get sick for a long time or I could die, but racism could also get me, so I'm out here with a mask, but I'm out here. You have to be too. We shouldn't need a video of a cop kneeling on a man's neck for 8 minutes. We shouldn't. Clearly we do, because the people who killed Breonna Taylor are still at large. But we shouldn't need it. You shouldn't need to know an LGBTQ plus person. You shouldn't need to know a person of color. You shouldn't need to know a person with mental health problems. You shouldn't need to know a woman to know that this country is flawed and it's not set up to serve any of them. You shouldn't need to know someone. You should be able to see it. I can't just take my skin off. God knows when I was a kid, I thought about it a few times. I had dreams. I walked around and I was a white girl for a while. And I was just able to go through my day and not have anything happen. I can't do that. I need the people who have the ability to reach out to other white people to do that, because I can't do it by myself. I need you to listen to Black voices, to amplify Black and brown voices. I need you to do that, because it is exhausting. Day after day after day. It's not just displays like these, like the one we just saw. It's comments on Facebook, it's microaggressions. If I have to tell one more person not to touch my hair, I may scream at them. I may do that. But see, I say that out loud, but I know that I actually won't. I won't scream at them because I'm so used to it at this point, and also because I don't want to start something. It's dangerous to be a Black person who says, hey, you know what? Sometimes it's kind of hard being a Black person. Because we've seen that. Do you know how many people, activists, have been found hanging since Black Lives Matter just had a revamp just now? I lost count after 10. The news isn't covering it that much anymore. That's why I'm a journalism student. Because I want these stories to be known. I was talking to Michael a couple days ago, and I shared a picture, a news source that was talking about how high hate crimes have risen against Black and Asian Americans. And I said, there's not enough stories on this. I don't know why it's not being covered more. It just isn't. How much Islamophobia is happening? There's not enough coverage. That's why I'm here, to tell the stories of what's happening. This is Independence Day. Freedom's a funny thing. You know, I just turned 21 in December, so I have the freedom to go out, take a drink or whatever, show my license, get a drink. That's great. I need it these days. But that's not really what I want. I mean, I think it's great that they're changing Aunt Jemima, but we're asking you to get rid of private prisons. It's a little different. That's my dad over there. And my sister. Freedom starts for me when I don't have to have the same conversations that my parents did with me. Freedom starts for me when I'm not terrified to get married, I'm not terrified to get married. I'm terrified to have a child that looks like me. And I'm even more terrified to have a son. Freedom doesn't start for me until that fear is gone. Because the whole thing that this country was founded on was life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right? None of those things count if I have to say, hey honey, you're 3. We need to have a conversation. Because there are gonna be people who hate you based on something that you can't change. There are gonna be people who want to be violent against you based on something that you can't change. And there's gonna be a lot. Well, mommy, what can I do to avoid that? Nothing, honey. You can't do anything. You can try to have safety in numbers. You can try to always walk in the light side of the street. You can use toy guns that don't look real. But sleeping is on the list of things that we can't do anymore and feel safe. Freedom for me and for many Black and brown people starts when we don't have to have those conversations with our kids.
Yeah.
I'll close with one more thing. There's this whole notion of this movement ending at this point because there's not as many, things out and about. There's not as many protests, marches, etc. Just because we're not on the streets doesn't mean that nothing is happening. That's important. When you leave here, do what the other speaker just said. Find someone to keep you accountable for growing, for changing. Read some things. We don't go any further until we recognize what the past has been and how to progress forward. You have this torch and it is lit and you will eventually need to pass it. And that's why I'm so grateful that all these kids are here right now. I work as a nanny. And to watch the kids of the people that I'm nannying have conversations with them as young as 5 and 3 about how to love people, about how to say, hey, that joke wasn't funny. All of those things that starts that young, because I've had an 8-year-old tell me that people with darker skin are meaner than people with lighter skin, while her dad drove away after dropping her off for the before school program with the Trump flag. It happens that young. We gotta start now. I'm already thinking about the conversation I'm gonna have with my kids. I'm already having conversations with 10-year-olds. I recognize that I'm a decade out from them, but I said, hey, I need you to say that's not funny. It's important, because that's how it starts. Sure. Let's get some changes going, but sure. I need you to do that. I really need everybody here to do that. Because I don't want to have another person like me have to deal with a child saying that to them, or someone telling that to my child. It's happening, it's real, it's exhausting. We need you, we need each other. Find whatever aspect of your torch that's good, whether it's photography or writing or toting and hauling. Someone had to bring all these speakers up here. Offer that up to your local grassroots chapter. We need it. Run for office if you can. And I don't want to hear, oh, I don't have experience. Yeah, as of 2016, that doesn't count anymore. And the last thing I'll say is that, again, you have a responsibility to talk to the people around you. To say that's not funny. To say, here's some research. To find good sources. There is so much misinformation that's out there, which is another reason I wanted to be a journalism student, to help combat all of that. It's your job now, more than ever, to find good sources and refute that information. I've never been called a terrorist or a communist until last week. Where did that come from? Me. Someone said I was a terrorist. Me. And I said, I didn't respond directly to that, but I said, no. I am an overweight person with asthma, scoliosis, anxiety, depression, practically no right kneecap, 15 plus allergies, eczema, there were a bunch of other things. My body's a mess. Basically, if you're scared of me, that sounds like a you problem. I don't want you to be afraid of me. I want you to talk to me. And once we have those conversations, we can move on and make America a place where everyone can celebrate this day to the fullest extent of what freedom means. Thank you.